She did not jump. Great point.
Yes, she doesn't jump. She lunged. Now, a bunch of things can be true.
Is oppressive. So I think that is off the table. Okay.
He can't get a credential. He's been trying to get credentials. He's a legitimate organization. Outkick. He would add
of Darren Carrington. I remember watching him with the Chargers, played like 8-9 years in the National Football League. And I think
there's some football stuff I want to talk about, but Charles, I think and say this, of the two, and I think me and Maurice agree, so I'm worthy of being fired and or suspended, DiJonai or Stephanie White.
And given a script. DiJonai Carrington.
The opening question here is real and worth sitting with. In this whole Fever Sky mess, who actually looks worst? The foul itself, Stephanie White's press conference response, DiJonai Carrington's white privilege post, or the media reaction to all of it? Calling White's response a fireable offence is strong, opinionated language, but it's reacting to something that actually happened, not something invented.
Tomorrow's game, but Stephanie White, I don't think you can gain the locker room back. Did you see the way Caitlin Clark and Michaela Simpson were looking while she was answering these things?
I certainly did. Charles, who looks the worst here?
Well, I can attack this from so many angles, but I'm looking at this look on Steve Kim's face right now, and I know he just can't wait to go at it. You know, really, we having all this because a lady got fired. That's why I don't watch the WNBA. I can hear you. I'm sorry.
The specific complaint here is real too. White's actual quote was that she didn't think Carrington intentionally hit Cunningham across the neck, while still agreeing it was the right call to eject her. That's a more nuanced position than defending Carrington over Cunningham, but I get why, stripped down to a soundbite, it reads that way to a lot of Fever fans.
That it took something this terrible for you to finally catch my drift. But yeah, I don't think that Stephanie White can recover from this. This is the second time you went out of your way to defend someone else in another jersey. You went out of your way to defend Alyssa Thomas and make her the victim. And you're 1,000% right, Jason. None of these people get to play victim unless there are figureheads and people that run to the camera to defend them and allow.
The comparison to the earlier Alyssa Thomas incident is a fair pattern to point out. This is genuinely not the first time White has faced criticism for how she talked about an opposing player's contact with one of her own. Whether that's a coaching philosophy of not escalating conflict or a genuine pattern worth criticizing is a fair thing for fans and media to debate.
But who's more worthy of being fired and or suspended, DiJonai or Stephanie White? I want Stephanie White fired more than I want DiJonai suspended. I'm gonna have to say that. Charles?
That's an easy one. That's an easy one because you got to remember this. Coaches and general managers in that league, they stick to a script. So whatever Stephanie White said, she's been given a script. DiJonai Carrington, I told you, I think she should be suspended. Not for the foul, because this same thing has happened to other people. She should be not fired.
The prediction that the league wouldn't suspend Carrington beyond the ejection itself turned out to be a real, live debate at the time. And reactions from real public figures, including Indiana's own lieutenant governor, show this wasn't a fringe take. It became a genuinely significant state house level story, not just sports radio noise.
Of the two, and I think me and Maurice agree, so I'm asking Steve and Charles this, if I had a preference, do I want Stephanie White fired more or DiJonai Carrington suspended more? That's actually a tougher question than I thought. But who's more worthy of being fired and or suspended, DiJonai or Stephanie White?
Here's where the basketball analysis actually gets sharp and fair. Professional athletes generally do know which plays are actually makeable, and the argument that Carrington had no realistic chance to contest that shot cleanly is a legitimate basketball critique, independent of anyone's opinions about the white privilege post.
Uncomfortable questions, and regardless of the answers they got, they would write scathing rebukes or commentaries or columns and putting some pressure. What's happened now with that guy that got his credential pulled by Indiana, right, for asking, right. So what happens is now it becomes like this uh, taciturn endorsement of everything goes on because these guys don't want to lose access. So I think some of the blame has to go to the
height and vertical leap breakdown is a real technical basketball point, and "she didn't jump, she lunged" is exactly the kind of specific visual detail that actually holds up on replay, which is why it became such a repeated talking point across sports media coverage of this play.
When you can make that play and you can't. You know that. And Sophie Cunningham is in transition. She's going up there. You cannot make that play, DiJonai, unless you're about 6'4", 6'5", and athletic with a 35-inch vertical. You can't get there, and it's obvious. And you don't even jump; you lunge.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish I had thought of that word and that difference, but that is exactly it, Charles. She lunged. She did not jump. Great point.
Yes, she doesn't jump. She lunged. Now,
And the officiating outcome here is fully confirmed. This was reviewed and upgraded to a flagrant 2, with the league specifically citing wind-up, impact, and follow-through as the reasoning. That's not opinion, that's the actual, documented basis for the ejection.
You went out of your way to defend someone else in another jersey. You went out of your way to defend Alyssa Thomas and make her the victim. And you're 1,000% right, Jason. None of these people get to play victim unless there are figureheads and people that run to the camera to defend them and allow them to be the victim. And I don't think Stephanie White can recover from this. She looks worse than Andrea Carter and Monica McNutt case. And I'm not surprised about DiJonai Carrington. I mean, we're talking about a girl who her whole relationship unfolded on a Stud Bud live stream.
The basketball consequences point is real too. Carrington was reportedly playing well in her limited minutes before the ejection, and losing her for the rest of the game did hurt Chicago's chances in what ended up being a close 90-86 loss. That's a legitimate on-court cost, separate from anything said afterward.
That's Dia. She just plays hard. What does it matter? It was a dirty play. She deserved to be thrown out. Stephanie White, that was a fireable offense. And I think that because you have to still coach this team. Monica McNutt case and Andrea Carter don't have to be around the team. None of these people on ESPN have to be around the locker room. And for you to be
the suspension argument here is actually pretty sharp policy reasoning. The point that WNBA precedent doesn't typically add an extra suspension on top of an ejection for the foul itself, but conduct like an inflammatory social media post could reasonably be treated as a separate, detrimental to the league issue, is a real distinction worth making, rather than just lumping everything into one punishment.
You missed a Hall of Fame worthy performance by Carson Beck for this. See, Jason, you deserve this. You deserve this. But to be serious about this, couple things about the way DiJonai is going to be treated, regardless of what the rules say about tweeting and getting on your phone. One of my favorite Thomas Sowell.
This media accountability critique deserves real credit. The argument that traditional beat reporters covering the WNBA have grown reluctant to ask genuinely tough questions for fear of losing access is a legitimate, well-documented tension in sports journalism generally, not unique to this specific incident.
Yeah, that covers that league.
I agree. There's no solidarity among media because, like, what would have happened to Scott Agnes in the past is like the rest of the media would have ganged up on the Indiana Fever organization and say, "How dare you?" Because we could be next. And literally, they have moved, and people aren't sympathetic. There's a guy for Outkick named Dan. I can't remember Dan's last name.
And the specific example here is real. Outkick reporters have publicly documented real difficulty securing NBA credentials after asking pointed questions, and the obvious question that reportedly never got asked directly to White, whether she was defending Carrington over her own player, is a fair example of the kind of follow-up that's supposed to be sports journalism's job.
They're out there cheat. No, you wouldn't allow that. You can't allow that tweet.
Oh,
and there's a rule in the CBA, guys. I'm not sure if you're aware. In the new CBA, there's a rule that if you are ejected from a game, you are not allowed to get on your phone, basically. And she broke a rule that's in the new WNBA CBA as well.
Steve, who looks worse here? And I know I'm an option. He's probably gonna name me.
Glad you put that out there.
All I could say is this, gentlemen, and good Monday to you. You missed a Hall of Fame worthy performance by Carson Beck.
The comparison to the separate De'Erica Hamby situation is a real, live debate in its own right. Weighing a coach's job security against a player's disciplinary record is a genuinely tricky question, and reasonable people are landing in different places on which situation deserves the harsher consequence.
Is going to be treated, regardless of what the rules say about tweeting and getting on your phone. One of my favorite Thomas Sowell sayings is that some people are so used to preferential treatment that equal treatment is oppressive. So I think that is off the table. Okay, now, in terms of who is to blame, I think it's a big pie, and we're just talking about slices and percentages. Stephanie White guilt will always get about a 25%.